Let's talk about the alternatives model. The alternatives model is chapter one of Reality Transurfing, a book by Vadim Zeland. Highly suggest you read it. But the idea basically boils down to there being parallel realities, and that the information that is contained within everything, and the information that for everything that could potentially happen is available within the space of variations. And you can collapse reality, or you can surf your way to your ideal reality, or a reality that is fortuitous to you, or allows you to be the fullest expression of yourself. This model of the universe is just one model of the universe. There's plenty, but this is a pretty comprehensive one. So it's a great start. So these parallel universes that exist, they are all pre-created, and the scripts that exist for these realities, or the events, how the events play out for these realities, all of that information exists. So it's based on the idea that we're in one unified field, or one being. Call it the all, call it God, call it source, whatever feels comfortable for you. For our purposes, we'll call it God. We exist within the body of God. And because we exist in this space of infinite potential, and because we are capable of abstract thought, capable of creating thought forms, we're capable of traversing this reality to create pretty much whatever we want. And in the book, Vadim Zeland, he compares, or he gives the analogy of your apples falling to the sky, the rustle of the morning stars, and these just real odd anecdotes that before you start applying the principles of reality transurfing and actually seeing things change, both the good and the bad, when you inevitably make errors and find yourself on a lifeline where things don't necessarily make sense at the moment. But the anecdotes, they start to, the rustle of the morning stars in general, that terminology is written about in Job, written about in a couple other books. The Urantia book, which I haven't fully dove into yet, but I found a hard copy. It's a pretty giant beast. The way I see it, our souls are the morning stars. We've been here since the dawn of everything, time. Our awareness has been here. We are within the Ancient of Days. We are made up of breathing in, eating, doing everything. We live, move, and have our being within that eternal being. We're not separate from it. All the powers of that being are available to us. So this model of the universe just allows you to organize your thoughts so that you can begin to shift, recognize what's holding you to where you are in life, and make that shift. Make small shifts, large shifts. Go at your pace, or at least know why you're staying stagnant. Vadim Zeland makes a big point about us recognizing our ability to choose. And I really, it struck me because a lot of even spiritual teachings in subtle ways impacts your ability to choose, making it so that there is a singular path, or it appears that there's a singular path that works, and it's not the case. I think just as unique as each one of us are, I think there's an infinite amount of ways that we can create reality, that we can have a closer relationship with God, that we can understand this universe as a whole. I like the idea of the parallel realities though, because it allows, as far as belief goes, faith, having that faith, if you can believe that following a certain script leads to a certain desired outcome, or changing a certain script, or not changing it, because you don't change the script, but you can choose the channel. If that makes sense. You choose the scene. You don't change the script. You choose the scene. Occupy the state of that character. The world will collapse around you. Take massive action towards it. The world will collapse around you. But these scripts, believing that they all exist and are complete, it allows you to easily analyze any particular pendulum that you may be attached to. And the pendulum is the energetic thought structure that's formed from groups of people thinking and feeling in a like manner. These entities are all destructive in nature because they drain our energy without any regard for our concern personally. And they can have a control or influence over people, causing them to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. But when you can become conscious of the pendulums that you're attached to and see the scripts that are running within those entities, whether it be work, groups of friends, different organizations that you're a part of, maybe shows that you're watching, maybe drugs or other habits that you have, things that where your attention is going, right? If it's not a person, is it an entity? When you start to analyze these, you can extrapolate over time, and it's easy, especially in work situations. This is how I've used it. In work situations, you can analyze a script and extrapolate over time what could potentially happen. And yeah, it's just one version of an infinite number of realities, but you got to understand that a lot of the world is literally running according to a script. They're running according to a script. And if you understand that, a lot of people will talk about change without actually change in these situations where a pendulum is swinging and trying to keep its adherence as well as gain more adherence. It's highly unlikely that there's a major shift from or deviation from the script. So you see the script in these pendulums. You may see a script as far as your family. You may need to separate from your family. You may see scripts in an organization, a script that doesn't necessarily suit you. If you understand that these pendulums all take your energy, right? And they all don't have any concern for you personally. You can become a favorite of a pendulum and use it to your benefit, maybe to get a promotion, to get money, to live, that you think you need a job. Your family is a pendulum that can provide security for you. But there's always a cost, and part of that cost is subjugation and taking away your ability to choose, or the illusion of your ability to choose being taken. and the rules that you need to follow in order to stay within the pendulum, not agitate the pendulum, not agitate the group. And for you, being a soul, being a reflection of the immortal Ancient of Days, you were born to be free. You're not born to be restricted, right? You came here with a mission, and you've been observing all of this time, right? You've been observing, living this life as the personality under the name that your parents gave you. But that I am of you, that awareness that you are, that's what came out of your mother first. And then we attach the name to it, right? So that part of you has been observing since birth. All of these things has been happening, right? And based on the perspective that you have of all of these things, right, you have a unique ability to create something new. You have unique gifts that you can share with the world. But in order for you to collapse into a lifeline where you're able to express that fully, you need to understand where your energy is going. Understand that when we're talking about shifting your reality, it's not something that is just taken super lightly. Trust me. Like anything, there's ups and downs to it, right? There's good and bads to it, right? So when you're talking about collapsing your reality onto itself, there's going to be a lot of waves that you're going to have to deal with in understanding how to effectively navigate the energetic structures that you're attached to. You're going to need to be able to have this 3D world presenting potentially dangerous situations to you, and understanding that there is no power outside of you that's greater than the God within you, and understanding that if you believe you're abundant, your abundance will flow counter to what you see around you. And it can be tough. It can be tough. It can be tough when you get started, and then you start to see that if you take a certain action, if you take an action within a script, let's say you're in a pendulum, call it your work, and you're requested to act in a certain manner according to the script. There's a role and a character that you need to play. And if you play that character, all is well. You're allowing the pendulum to control you. And don't get me wrong, there are souls or favorites within the pendulum who may have attained positions of authority, and they may get a kick out of the control or the manipulation of other souls. So through the medium of a pendulum, you may encounter situations where you're dealing with other souls who appear to be messing with you. Understand, that's the pendulum trying to get under your skin, because it doesn't matter. What matters is getting your thoughts to radiate at the frequency of that pendulum. And once your thoughts are resonating at the frequency of that pendulum, now you're no longer creating from a perspective of openness, of infinite possibilities. You're creating from a limited scope, and that scope could be fear, that scope could be shame, that scope could be guilt, that scope could be worry. All of those are just slides that are painted over the clear vision that God gave you. But that's how a pendulum can hook into you, through the medium of souls within the entity. Now you're radiating at that energy, at that level, and not creating, because your energy is getting drained. These pendulums, they blind you, and it can be very tricky getting out of them. There's other pendulums, like some of these credit cards that will peddle to a lot of people. I know credit card debt is really rampant. This whole financial system in general, that pendulum where we have so many people, so much of the world is or believes themselves to be in poverty, in a world of infinite resources, in a universe of infinite resources, where a single asteroid could be worth more than the entire world economy. There's people who believe that their resources aren't infinite. Can you imagine that? It makes no sense, you know. But that's what some of these pendulums. That's how some of these pendulums are maintaining their swing. And then their souls who are benefiting from these pendulums as favorites who are popped up as in positions of authority. And they may feel like they're getting benefits from the pendulum. Maybe they get power, the ability to mess up someone's life, whatever the case may be. But you sit down and talk to them and get behind the mask, soul to soul, a lot of them aren't happy. A lot of them have never been happy. They thought climbing a ladder would make them happy. They had the personality that the pendulum was looking for, so it shot them to the top, but that's not their soul star sector, and they don't know who they are, right? So they don't know that they're in that position of power to be able to make a decision that could benefit souls. See, we are the creators of these entities, not the other way around. And the sooner we wake everyone up and realize what's going on, the easier it'll be to make changes. But sometimes souls who've been favorites of a pendulum, for some of them, their service to self, and that is their star sector. That is their fullest expression. You know, the domination, the love that they give to themselves through domination of others. And domination is just a form of witchcraft, intimidation, domination, manipulation. Those are the three forms that witchcraft takes. We've gotten away from using terms like witchcraft and sorcery for the things that a person does to influence your thoughts. But don't get me wrong, it very much is sorcery or witchcraft for someone to do a particular thing if it's deemed negative, to influence your thoughts negatively, to get you thinking, or to fall into a destructive state. But I'll do a separate video on witchcraft or sorcery specifically. Oh yeah, voodoo, whatever name I want to attribute to it. Assessing what is hooking your attention and giving you the false impression that you don't have the ability to choose. That's where you start. You don't have to start making waves in the layer of your world just because you know this information. You don't. That's not how I started. I just continued consuming information. But when I started making waves in my world, I did, and I'll get to my story. But that's another video. Where you start is identifying what's got your attention and understanding that you do have the ability to choose in any given situation, no matter what the entity or what it is that you're attached to. People, places, groups. It doesn't matter. You got the ability to choose. And if your fullest expression or the next level that you can get to requires you to make a move or remove something from your life, I highly, 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 highly implore you to do so. Sooner rather than later. The funny thing about energy is, at a certain point, when you see something not resonating any longer, or you understand that your next level, this world that you're creating, or this universe that you're trying to jump to, doesn't have a certain energy in it, whether it be person or a thing or an activity, it's like that activity knows as well. And just like your energy is trying to get you to get away from it, that thing will try to get away from you. And that can have dangerous consequences as well on your world. Reality transurfing is not about fighting the world. That's what we've been doing. That's what we've been trained to do. See everything as separate from us and as a battle that we need to fight in order for us to get ahead. We don't have to fight the world to create our reality. There is a flow that we can jump into that will carry us smoothly to our destination, whatever reality that is that you want to create. Understanding how to recognize that flow when it begins to appear, we call it the bridge of incidents. So you've created your world, you're taking actions towards it. A series of events will take place in your life. They'll pop up. There can be people, a set of circumstances, situations that align with your vision, like a doorway opened up directly for you. There could be a chasm between you and that doorway that you need to cross, that's guarded by your fear, guarded by your pain, your insecurities, your doubt, your worry. And the only way for you to cross that bridge is to overcome yourself. Understand that all of these religions that talk about this devil as this being outside of yourself, whether it's a god or a devil that you're looking at as outside of you, either way, anything that you're looking at as outside of you takes away your power. The only devil is the devil you create in your mind, in your fearful thoughts that the power of God does not live inside of you. When the bridge of incidents appears, it's imperative that you act. Now, there's a stage before the bridge appears where you may be traversing through a void. Maybe you've made ripples in your layer of your world, and you've been outcast, and you find yourself traversing through the gallery, meaning there's tons of doors open, potentially, or maybe there's no doors open. You feel lost, as if you could go anywhere and nowhere at the same time. When you're in that void or that space surrounded by the gallery, what I've learned is to observe. Because the things that you see in the gallery there could be tools that you pick up that'll help you in your ideal lifeline. So if you start looking for the good in all things, you don't have to go or entertain every door. That's not how it works. You don't have to. You can, but you could get sucked into a pendulum and end up on a lifeline that's far from your ideal. What you want is to continually take action towards your ideal. Take note of the present moment around you. Take note of any information, any tools that you could bring with you forward. And trust that the bridge of incidents will appear. Now, the bridge of incidents and the way that I speak about it, I've spoken about it on a grand scale, making major changes in your life. Let's say you're trying to bring something like a product. Let's say there's a purse that you want, you're a woman, or for men there's a car that you want, whatever the case may be. There's something that you want, right? It's the same thing, whether you're trying to create a item or trying to add an item to a layer of your world, or trying to change the entire layer to a completely different scene. It starts in thought. You give it all the tones of reality, entertain, bask in, bathe in that feeling of having it. When you have it, it's not all of that excitement or anything like that. It's a little more muted, it's normal, it's yours, right? Can you feel like it's yours? Good. At a certain point, you won't feel the need to think that anymore, because it'll feel like it's yours. At that point, if it's a thing that you're trying to manifest, the gallery for you would essentially be that time period where you're seeing it everywhere. I was looking for a truck the other day, and I realized I found one that I liked, and as soon as I had set my mind to the frequency where I had already obtained it, it's like everywhere I looked, like I was thinking, I need to go actually see this in person, or I need to go test drive, because that's the next step for when I'm trying to bring a car into the layer of my world. I go and test drive and actually like throw myself in that emotion of having it, right? It doesn't matter what the vehicle is. So I'm thinking about that, and out of nowhere, everywhere I look, I go on a hike, I'm looking at the road from a mountain, and all I see is that truck, right? So the gallery will present itself as that. It'll be showing up all over. It's like it's bringing itself closer to you, right? And then the bridge of incidents, in the case where you're trying to bring a specific thing, is that moment where you're in the store, you have it in your hand, and you're questioning whether or not you have the funds, right? There's that fear. Or someone's offering it to you, and you're questioning, you have guilt, shame, whether or not you can accept the gift like this, right? It's a bridge of incidents. It can present itself, but these patterns, they play themselves. This is a fractal universe. These patterns play themselves out over and over and over again at every level. So once you understand how to bring one thing into your world, it's literally about magnifying that process to bring something else. And I guarantee you, this works. I was listening to a Neville Goddard lecture the other day, and I plan on reading all of his lectures on this channel for all of you, because when I talk about things like the Bible and it being a book of mental states, that's where I get it from Neville and Dr. Joseph Murray. And it's so true, but I'm not Neville. I can't give you it his way, so I'll read his words, and then I'll do my best. But if there's something that you believe you haven't gotten that you wanted in thought, and we're not talking about a specific person here, Although there are ways to manifest a specific person, that's very, very tricky and dangerous. So, but if there's something that you believe you haven't received, the Neville lecture was titled, "What are you doing?" Because if you haven't received it, what are you thinking about now? When did you stop thinking about it? So it's absolute. The name of God is I am, not I've been. It's a present state of being. Can you occupy the state now of having that thing? Can you bask in it? Can you give it all of the tones of reality? Can it become more real to you than the reality you see when you open your eyes? That's when you know you got it. If you can have faith in that deep of a vision, that deep of a meditation, and walk in it, it has to outpicture itself in the most miraculous of ways. And all of the people who need to play a part in order for your dream to outpicture itself, they'll align themselves up without you having to do anything. That's called surrendering to outer intention and just walking by faith, not by sight. The key here is understanding that you have the ability to choose. That ability is yours now and will forever be yours. Now, whether you're in a position to make drastic, or whether you think you're in a position to make drastic choices or changes or anything like that in your life, it's up to you. It's between you and your higher self. I just want you to know. I just want you to have the information. Your thoughts are things. Your thoughts are creative things that create your reality. You may not feel like you're ready to consciously create your reality, but it does not change the fact that your thoughts are things that create your reality. And if you're not consciously directing your thought towards creating your reality, something is directing your thought to creating their reality, something or someone. And we're not batteries. I hope something resonated with you in this video. I love you. I want to see the fullest expression of you. This is the spark.